Magalhaes to Stokes, who's onside. 1-0.
Here's Sims. It's a good serve this from Southampton. They could finish the job here. It's Shane Long, and he has done it.
Just a minute to play. That's stoppage time. Here's Letizia. Who better to say farewell than one of the finest players ever to wear the red and white.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Saints FC podcast. Hooray! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to another episode of the Saints FC podcast. On my left-hand side of me this evening, I have Mr. Tom Parker. How are you, Tom?
I'm good. I'm chipper, upbeat, feeling good.
Excellent. I think we've got a few reasons to be cheerful. We'll get through some of those in the podcast. One of the reasons to be cheerful is that I'm going to get you a free crate of beer this evening.
It's the best gift any man can ask for.
So stay tuned for that. I know fans of the Saints FC podcast wine drinking club. Well, I mean, you might have to say that this is going to be our last episode with the wine for a little while, I think. So, Tom,
totally fine with
tell everyone what we're drinking tonight. So
this is a lovely Grand Reserva Castillo del Calatrava from the off-license opposite John's house, $7.99. It's a Tempranillo. It's a young grape. Very enjoyable, but it won't be as good as free beer, John.
No, it won't be as good as free beer.
It won't be.
And we'll get onto that in a few moments. So do hold on for the details of how you can get your free beer. As always, of course, if you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can do so saintsfcpodcast@gmail.com. You can contact us at saintsfcpodcast on Twitter. You can find me occasionally popping into the Saints FC bit on Reddit, the Saints Web Forum, basically where people are talking about Saints.
You're omnipresent, John.
Kind of hanging around there. So, I mean, should we start with correspondence from the listeners, or should we just get straight into the free beer and how on earth you get free beer?
Let's tease people, correspond, have some lovely feedback, and then go free beer, John.
Okay, so let's start with an email which came from what's his name? Fiddles through papers here. And it comes from Daniel. So Daniel, Daniel wrote in a little while back suggesting the nickname for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg as Bergie.
Bergie, yep.
Which is the best we've got at the moment. And he mentions that his 9-year-old daughter listened to the podcast and thinks Daniel is now famous now.
Glad to have helped.
And she's also agreed to go to watch Burnley away with him.
That's very good. I don't know what else a 9-year-old would be doing apart from going somewhere with their parents on a Saturday.
Yeah.
There you go.
So shout out to Daniel's daughter. Great to meet you. So you're famous as well, or at least to the 1,000 or so people that listen to the Saints FC podcast. Another one which I want to read out is Jason Rodwell. So Jason Rodwell is the man behind the Northern Ireland Saints kind of Twitter feed. He had a right laugh at the Garth Crooks comments that we made in the last time we met up.
Still angry about Garth Crooks.
Apparently he and his younger brother have a running joke about the team of the week selection, selecting centre midfielders of wing backs, Sergio Aguero as an attacking midfielder, but the comments even more so. I haven't looked at the team of the week since our rant a couple of weeks ago.
Dip into that.
Yeah. Also, he makes the point. So we asked people, and we've also got a poll, which we're going to be reading out the results of later. Yeah. Would people rather we finish 17th in the league, so out of the relegation zone, and not win the FA Cup, or win the FA Cup and get relegated? So hypothetical question. Obviously, it doesn't really mean anything. But Jason here, he actually voted for 17th. And he thinks he should try and explain why. He doesn't believe that we come straight back again, whereas we're perhaps feeling a bit more optimistic about that.
Yeah.
And every time we sign somebody now, we're breaking our transfer record, which he thinks is exciting. And every transfer window brings about changes, and for the most part, at least until recently, improvement. Which is another good point. If we get relegated, the transfer window just becomes a lot less inspiring. We inevitably lose our best players. I think the disappointment that we didn't spend more of the Van Dijk money is evident. Yeah, totally agree with that. But he reckons if we stay up in the summer, then perhaps we'll see a bit of reinvestment in that. And he thinks that this season would be a consolidation season, which some teams have. And he also thinks that, with a bit of reinvestment, a bit of a relaunch of our squad, I might suggest perhaps a new manager, depending on how things go.
Yeah.
And we could be launching back into another 4 or 5 exciting years. It's pretty well thought out there.
Oh, it's optimistic.
Yeah, it is optimistic. I suppose in one hand it's pessimistic because he doesn't think we'd get promoted straight away again, which is fair enough. A lot of teams don't.
Yeah.
But, on the other hand, quite optimistic that he thinks that with a bit of refreshing of the squad, we can do a lot better.
Yeah, and I think there's the unknown motives of the ownership of the club in terms of reinvesting that money. That's kind of still a grey area for many Saints fans.
Yeah, and I get the point about the transfer window as well not being as exciting when you don't have the big bucks to spend. And certainly when we went down to the Championship last time, you have the vultures circling around the likes of Theo Walcott, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and they stayed for even less time than they do in the Premier League.
Nanoseconds.
Yeah,
in terms of some of those players. Yeah.
So I get that point. Although we did sign Ricky Lambert in League One, and that was a rather special signing.
It is quite more fun, isn't it? Championship.
I mean,
it's a laugh at least.
It is a good laugh. Also, the other thing as well.
Premier League.
Yeah, and I mean, there's lots of negatives and positives about it, but obviously one of the negatives is just the lack of coverage. So whether that's like television, newspapers, just anything, there's hardly any coverage when you're in the Championship or the lower leagues.
Podcasts become even more important.
Yeah.
It's a boon for podcasters.
Yeah. And, perhaps this is also, Jason Dickey's also been in contact. He listens from the USA. And basically his point here is that if Saints get relegated, he's going to find it very, very difficult to follow the Saints because Championship games just aren't really
FA Cup, that'll be it for him.
Yeah. I mean, and I think as well for our other Jason Rodwell, he's also based in Northern Ireland, so they probably,
BBC.
Yeah.
But
you're not going to get much Championship coverage, are you? And he's obviously not close enough to be going to Saints games regularly.
It's understandable.
I totally get that. We'll have the results of our Twitter poll a bit later as well to see what the main theory of that is. So we've had a little bit of correspondence. Do you want to find out about how to get a free crate of beer, Tom?
Yes, I'd love that, please, John.
Okay, so the Saints FC podcast have arranged with our friends at beer52.com a free case of craft beer for every listener.
Very exciting.
All you have to do, there is a catch. Of course, there's a catch. You have to pay the postage.
How much is the postage, John?
So the postage is £5.95.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean for a box of beer's quite heavy. Yeah,
definitely.
And what you'll get is 8 incredible craft beers, Ferment magazine, and a snack.
And I'm assuming Ferment magazine is the magazine for craft beer aficionados.
It's a magazine about beer.
Yeah.
So you can drink your beer whilst reading your magazine about beer and eating your snacks. Right.
It's an immersive experience.
So in terms of the catches, because there's always is a catch with this. So beer52.com, it is a subscription service. So what you do is you sign up, you get your free box of beer, and they'll enroll you into one of their subscriptions. But you don't actually have to stay with them. You can.
So you can cancel if you wanted to.
You can basically cancel immediately.
Okay.
So there you go. Free box of beer. I would suggest get the box of beer at home, give it a taste, and then maybe decide whether you want to cancel it or not. But,
and who doesn't love beer, a magazine, and snacks?
Yeah, mate. 8 beers for $5.95.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's why the wine's going to be out next time we meet up. We're going to have a box of beer from Beer 52. So if you want to get your free box of beer, courtesy of the Saints FC podcast and our friends at beer52.com, all you have to do is visit www.beer52, that's the number 52.com/Saints.
All right. Do it, Saints fans.
Yeah, and for those of you watching on YouTube, Tom is going to attempt to order a free box of beer whilst we're on this podcast.
Just to show how easy this is.
Yeah. So anyway, Tom, you can get on with that.
Crack on.
And so I suppose now we're going to get on to the football. Does that sound like a good idea? Do you think you can multitask, Tom? Do you think you can order a box of beer and talk about football at the same time?
I'm pretty confident I can do that.
Okay. Right. So let's cast your mind back to about 10 days ago, say. I don't know, 8 days ago.
8 days ago,
yeah.
9, yeah.
And, we're sat here on the 20th of February, so we're going back to a week last Sunday. And you invited me down to deepest, darkest South London.
I did, yeah.
An area that I don't normally venture off into too often. To go to a pub where you had a nice spot next to the big screen in the pub.
I did, yeah, in a proper pub. Right
next to a poster of the Titanic that loomed ominously over our table and our beers.
There's a symbol there.
I think,
if there was one.
And I think it was pretty symbolic because we saw Saints get sunk by Liverpool 2-0.
Yeah.
This is interesting. There's a theme there of the Titanic, built in Liverpool, came down to Southampton to set forth from its maiden voyage, and it loomed above us on this table.
Let down by, what should have been one of our strongest points.
Yeah, and Pierre-Emile Hoy Iceberg.
That works.
Yeah.
Dead ahead.
Yeah. I think we should finish with the Titanic. It's not going well there. It also didn't go very well for Saints. I mean, no. Tell me about what happened in this game.
Well, I feel I've been a critic of Pellegrino. I think many people have, but I think times like this kind of show the insanity of deciding to be a football manager. He had a week with those players. He would have drilled them. He'd have told them everything they need to do. He put out arguably his strongest, I would say his strongest 11. And then to see it, and you can imagine he'll have said to them, look, these are amazing footballers going forward. They're amazing. They will, if given an opportunity to tear you to pieces, just don't do anything that helps them to do that, because they'll do it by themselves. So just don't give them anything. And then, one of our most high profile, experienced pros goes
Dutch international,
played in Serie A, goes and really just makes his second bad mistake of the game 6 minutes in, and we get punished. And it's the ruthless efficiency by which we get punished, which almost really stings.
I think that whole first half was quite disappointing. I think the way that Saints set up and approached the game was pretty good. So, we set up well. We looked competitive in the first half. And actually, for the vast majority of the first half, I thought we had the better chances. I thought we had, had more of the ball. The difference was the quality, wasn't it?
It's they were able to do what they do. And first up, I think losing 2-0 at home to Liverpool is not a disaster. I think what we managed to avoid was an incredibly morale sapping 4 or 5-0, which they've turned over much better teams than us this year by those sort of margins. We were outclassed and we were outplayed, but so would everyone.
Yeah.
But it was just the ruthlessness. We had James Ward-Prowse trying to head it, Carricho trying to get on the end of stuff. They just get a chance, and the quality they have, they just slice through us. And I don't think we should dwell on it for too long. I think it was a result we all probably thought was coming. But I do feel sorry for Pellegrino, because what more can he do apart from set those players up to do that, and then to play well, and then one of them just totally. Again, by the way, with Hoyt, I don't know how many times, I don't know how many goal scoring chances he's direct mistakes I've had this season. I can think of at least 4 off the top of my head. But again, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Hoyt is he's kind of looking a bit like Yoshida did in those kind of early days, when he always knew that he would have a mistake in him. And
Højveld before that.
Yeah, and that first goal just totally air kicked the ball. I remember I was seeing kind of like Thierry Henry and all of that on Sky. They were chatting about, look how well Liverpool have done. They've broken really quickly. But the fact of the matter was, a professional Premier League centre-back should have been able to get something on that when the ball came in.
Yeah, we'll go on to the FA Cup shortly. But one of the best moments for me last night in the Wigan Man City game was there was a ball down the wing, and it was like 1 minute to go, and kitchen sink was being thrown at Wigan, and it fell to their centre back, and you were like, please just put your foot through it and hoof it as far as it could possibly go, and he did it.
Yeah,
and it didn't go out, it didn't go, so it went so far down the pitch, and you just think if Hoyt does that, it makes a clean connection with it, then that game is different. And we might have lost 5-0.
Yeah,
but you'll never know. But what we definitely didn't do is we didn't help ourselves.
No, and then so we go into half time having played relatively well, but 2-0 down. We've been punished by one awful mistake, and we've been punished by some pretty sensational attacking play from Liverpool. I thought their second goal was really, really nice. Team moves, very, very quick. And we go in at half time, and you just think, right, well, all I want them to do is come back out with a bit of fight and spirit. And there was none of that in the second half, was it? I mean, it was so awful you left the pub.
Yeah. They look beat, didn't they?
They look beat. You look beat. I think by the night more than before beat,
I looked very beat. It was a disappointing game. I think the idea that I'd love to know the last time Saints were 2-0 down, against a team like Liverpool and came back and got anything. I think they kind
probably the last time we were 2-0 down.
It was against Liverpool. It was against Liverpool.
Liverpool. But
I think
Koeman.
We had a slightly different attacking line up there, didn't we? With Mane and Pella and people like that.
But also, we spoke about it at half time. It's just like we talked about, what are the chances of Saints doing what they did a couple of seasons ago, and there was no chance.
No, non-existent.
We're not at that level anymore.
We could play that game 100 times from 2-0 down at half time and not get anything out of it. And I think that's again one of the worrying things.
Yeah. That's not progress, is it?
It's not. But you can't argue that Carricho is progress on Pella. You can't argue that Redmond or Boufal is probably progress on Mane. Short bursts of brilliance aside. So
Tadic isn't better than Lallana.
No, and Pellegrino ain't no Koeman. So yeah.
Or Pochettino, I suppose, if we go for his compatriot. Right, so anyway, that's all a little bit depressing. We've gone backwards a bit. We went out to Liverpool, lost 2-0, could have been worse. First half performance I thought was kind of okay. Second half performance, we
made chances.
Nothing there really in the second half, was
there? No, we made chances first half. There was 2 Ward-Prowse headers. Højbjerg with a decent chance, snapshot of the back post, but it wasn't really dropping for us. No. And Van Dijk, who we should probably touch on, had probably the easiest game of his professional life up against the one player that we have in our squad that you would think could really rough him up a little bit and give him a hard time. He just, at the end of the game, walked off the pitch, just emptied his pocket, and Carricho fell out.
So that's all a little bit depressing. So let's back in the relegation zone.
Yep.
And thank the...
Garth Crooks is right. We're flirting. Sorry, Garth.
Anyway, so, let's thank the fixture list fairies for bringing us a nice little bit of relief from that. There's nothing like being stuck in the relegation zone, then having an FA Cup weekend when you're already out and you're just going to sat there in it, stewing. But we're still in the FA Cup. We're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. We're heading to West Brom, the Hawthorns, where we know that traditionally the winner of the 5th round of the FA Cup, if it's between Southampton and West Brom at the Hawthorns, goes on to win the FA Cup. So
that's the law.
Yeah, I imagine the guy's probably etching our name into the trophy right now.
I don't know if they'll bother to play the next few rounds, to be honest.
Yeah.
Great. What a result.
Fantastic. So we won 2-1.
There was brilliant theatre before the game as well with West Brom and all their... We don't need to go into it, but all their gallivanting. Just, by the way, with Pardew, we should talk about Pardew a little bit, because when he was at Saints, there was all sorts of rumours, none of which we will repeat about in Pardew. But he's clearly a guy who likes a good time. And one of the theories was that, he brings that good time feel back to the dressing room. And I love the idea that they went to Barcelona for a midweek break when they had a game on a Saturday, and Barcelona's not even that hot at the moment. No. Yeah, it's not like going to Dubai. And I think we look at our players and they probably do all sorts of stuff, but 4 of them allegedly nicking a taxi, allegedly under the influence of alcohol. That is phenomenal.
I don't even know if it's necessarily alleged anymore. I think
if West Brom's lawyers are watching. But it's just such a great story, and then the punishment of I'm going to punish these players by playing One of them's injured.
Yeah.
One of them is the substitute goalkeeper. So 2 of them were ever going to play. So my punishment is those 2 are going to play, and one of them's not going to be captain. Like, that's not really sending a message.
Do you think Pardew was in on it as well, and he just like?
There was a rumour, isn't there, that he lost his
guys.
wallet. He lost his wallet in his phone.
Lose his wallet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but
mean,
it set up the game to be either a Saints win or the game where West Brom come back and show everyone that actually they are joint as a team.
Yeah, I mean, they also sacked their chief executive, didn't they?
Yeah, and the chairman.
Yeah,
the owner sacked them both.
So it's a pretty tough week for West Bromwich Albion. But I mean, as we know, being Saints fans, that quite often when teams are going through a tough patch, we somehow happen to give them that little bit of light, give them that opportunity and let them back into it. But I mean, West Brom, they were all their own undoing, weren't they? So give us a corner in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, James Ward-Prowse's set pieces, like he's not really the quiet man of the team anymore, because I think more and more Saints fans are realising just how important he is. We spoke about last time on the podcast, 2/3 of the season he comes alive, and mainly because he seems to be playing sort of similar place that Puel played him. But it was a great corner, and I was watching it at home, and I remember thinking, oh, the ball must have gone out. Like, he's dipped that corner, curved it so much the ball's gone out, or someone's blown up for pushing in the box. And it just kind of stopped. And then you saw Hoyt just teetering by the 6-yard, and just thwatted it into the back of their button net. It was brilliant.
I mean, it was astonishing. So just in case nobody's seen it yet, get onto the Saints website. You can watch the highlights. But I've not seen defending from a corner like that at any level ever before. Now, I live quite close to the Hackney Marshes, where there's a lot of very poor quality football taking place every weekend, which I walk past.
And it's free, people. Regularly. Go and see it. It's amazing.
But, when a corner comes in, people kind of tend to mark their man. They might be doing zonal marking. But generally speaking, no matter what happens, there's going to be a lot of people in and around the penalty spot. When James Ward-Prowse took that corner, all of the West Brom defenders ran towards the front post.
Well, they ran towards the ball like children.
Yeah. And then Hoot was just standing square in front of the middle of the goal.
And you can't miss Hoot. He's what, 6'4"?
Yeah, but also to say someone's unmarked is a bit of an understatement. Like, you could have swung several dead cats in the area that Hoot had.
He had no one within about 5 foot of him. It was amazing. Yeah, it was a really good finish as well.
He took it beautifully.
He took it really well. Hit the corner, which is weird as well, because I think just with West Brom, when we watch them in the league, they're actually, I don't understand this, they're actually quite good. What I don't understand is they've got 2 brilliant set-piece takers in Brunt and McLean. McLean is fantastic. Saints should be all over McLean if they get the chance, if they go down. They're just really weird. They're really big. They're really strong. And they battered Saints for the second half, but to be honest, by then it was kind of already done, and it was a really great corner and a great finish from Wesley. More of that sort of thing, please.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. I mean,
where would we be without our centre backs?
I mean, in terms of goals scored, but I mean, also maybe we would have conceded fewer goals if we had less of our centre backs in the team. There's quite a lot in that first half to be pleased about. I mean, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg had another chance at the far post, kind of like he did against Liverpool.
Unlucky.
There are quite a few good performances. I think McCarthy is probably worthy of a mention as well.
What a player! And he's really stepped up. And it makes you wonder this season where we would be if he'd dropped Forster at the right time, introduced Højbjerg into the team, and played Charlie Austin.
Yeah,
because those certainly, obviously, Charlie Austin's injured at the moment, but Højbjerg and McCarthy's just fantastic. Like he exudes confidence. Fraser Forster, I love the guy, but he was, for a big guy, he's not very good at crosses, shot stopping, and his reflexes seem to be off towards the end of his time in the team. And McCarthy has just stepped up.
It's interesting because McCarthy is not as big as Forster, yet he does come for a lot more crosses. I mean, you compared Fraser Forster to a vampire with his approach to crosses.
Hates them. But I think as well, like if you'd have said at the start of the season, one of the Southampton goalkeepers is in a good chance to go to the World Cup, you probably wouldn't have said it's going to be Alex McCarthy. And there we go.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Do you think Gareth Southgate is going to give him a call up?
I don't know. Heaton's injured.
Yeah.
we've got to take 3 keepers to the World Cup.
So, I mean, McCarthy made some fantastic saves. I mean, one that I'm particularly thinking of was a long-range shot, took a deflection.
From Pagodio, actually, called.
It hit Hoots on the way in. And the direction of the ball totally changed, but he was quick enough to get down and parry it away.
And there was a great moment in that as well. If you watch it back, you'll see Bertrand, who we'll come on to talk about, who was brilliant, by the way. Bertrand does this, and apologies, it doesn't make any sense if you're just listening, but if you're watching on YouTube, he does this sort of like this thing, because he knew...
So for those of you listening, I'm just going to describe what Tom's doing here. He's kind of clenching his body and kind of pushing his fists forward in a kind of like
Macho Man Randy Savage kind of like, oh yeah, that's good.
Kind of, he's gone a bit alpha gorilla.
Yeah. But I think it's because he knew, as someone who just does nothing but play football, that was really important and that was really difficult what he did. And I think he probably knew that it's moments like that can define a season. And can certainly define a game. And 1 minute later, what happened?
Yeah, we got a goal.
Which
was absolutely lovely. The ball came up. I'm trying to think who passed the ball on to Tadic. Can you remember?
Fair play. Redmond came into that team, gets a huge amount of stick, never stopped working. What lets him down is, what stops him being a great footballer is his final decision. 2 or 3 times he had a chance to really hurt West Brom and he didn't quite do it, but this was the time he did. It was a very sensible lobbed pass up to Carricho. Carricho then, big lad, for once looked a little bit more composed, sees Tadic, hoiks it into the centre, and what does Tadic do?
He evokes mid-90s, early. I'm going to say Premier League, but actually, if we're talking about mid-90s, Premiership football here, and he does the chip. I love a good chip.
You don't see enough nowadays, do you?
Absolutely no. You don't see enough good chips. But so it wasn't as good as a Cantona chip or a Matthew Le Tissier
or Philippe Albert
versus Peter Schmeichel, which of course is one of the greatest goals of all time. Any Saints fans that aren't old enough to remember that, look up Matthew Le Tissier's chip goal against Schmeichel, I think in the 6-3, just wonderful, wonderful
destroys
stuff.
2 players before that as well, which is just another bit of beauty.
But anyway, Tadic does his chip, it sinks into the goal. Also, it clears the line, it just kind of starts to scrape the back of the goal net before it goes in. Lovely.
It was great.
Absolutely lovely stuff. And, thank the Lord, thank the gods of mid-90s chipping football, because the gods of mid-90s football were still at large at the Hawthorns when a couple of minutes later, Salomon Rondon turned into Tony Yeboah.
Tony Yeboah / it's like Tony Van Basten.
Yeah.
It was an amazing goal. But they to be fair, they came out in the second half and they really went for it. And they are big guys and they chucked everything at McCarthy. And then you just see this long raking ball over the top and you're like, he's going to head that back across or chest it. And then he just took everyone by surprise. Just flashed this brilliant shot. And you could see people didn't believe it.
Over the shoulder volley into the goal like that.
I don't know where you do that.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, Salomon Rondon, that's probably goal of the 5th round. I mean, not so much in importance because in the end it was totally meaningless, but great goal.
Second one he scored against us this season as well.
So there we are. For about 3 minutes, the Hawthorns turned into Tony Yeboah versus lesser Le Tissier, kind of with chips and over the shoulder volleys. It was quite brilliant to watch.
And it was I thought it was a really the game. We'll talk a bit more, but it was a really good advertisement for the FA Cup because 2 teams that maybe don't think they're going to win it still went absolute hell for leather at each other to try and win.
And I have to admit, I do occasionally listen to other football podcasts.
There are other football podcasts out there.
I'm not going to tell people what they are or where they are. But when the fixture list comes out, Saints versus West Brom in the 5th round of the FA Cup, to anyone other than a Saints or West Brom fan is like groan. But actually, to anyone watching that game would have really, really enjoyed themselves. It was a thoroughly good game of football from 2 teams that really did incredibly poorly in the Premier League.
It was back and forth, and there were moments of real brilliant skill. Lemina was just unbelievable bits of skill from what
he loves playing against West Brom.
He does love playing against West Brom. There was so much to enjoy about the game, and I think one of the players that really excelled himself was Bertrand. You've spoken before about his intelligence and how he reads the game and how he drives Southampton forward. There's the moment where he he clears West Brom. I don't know who it is. He takes this sort of looping shot, and it's going to go in, and you could see like it's going in, and everyone thinks it's going in, but Bertrand has just snuck in at the back post, and you see it from another angle on Match of the Day where he's seen that the ball has not been cleared, and rather than run towards the ball or find a man, he knows the only place that ball can go in is that part of the goal, and he runs
where
there,
McCarthy's
where McCarthy's not there, and it's brilliant. Like, his intelligence and his reading of the game. I know you can, like, people think he's a bit moody, a bit sulky, but he is a top player.
I think in a way he's kind of, it seems to be like relishing being the Saints captain at the moment.
How long may it continue?
Yeah, I mean, it's really great to see, and probably you'd say in the summer he is maybe the player who's most likely to be kind of on his way out, because he's the player which stands out as being the one that is better, better. He could quite seamlessly go into a top 6 club. I mean, he's already won the Champions League.
You thought he'd go to. I'm amazed that we watched Man City last night, and they had Daniel at left back, Delph. Like you do wonder, like some things are so obvious. You think like they wouldn't have had to spend the 50-odd million pounds that they spent on Danilo on Bertrand, would they? Like they probably could have got Bertrand from Saints for 30-odd million, and everyone would have been happy.
Who knows though? I mean, maybe Saints just said, "Oh no, we can't be selling Van Dijk and Bertrand in the same."
Yeah,
window.
you're probably right. You're probably right.
Anyway, so we then go into the hat for the quarter-final draw. Now, what I've really disliked about the quarter-final draw, I mean, I love the fact the Saints are in it, so I'm not going to complain about it too much. Why was the draw on Saturday? Why wasn't it like on Sunday or Monday?
Bayern told me it was on the One show. Is this true?
I think that may have been maybe the previous one. But,
why is it on a Saturday? Why when not everyone's played?
Yeah, it seems bizarre.
Stop tinkering with things.
And you can imagine that when Wigan and Man City saw that they'd been drawn at home to Saints, they were probably going into their game last night, their 5th round game, just thinking, well, it's pointless. We're going to be playing against Saints. They've won in the 5th round of the FA Cup at Hawthorns.
There's no way we can.
They're going to win the
defeat
cup.
them.
Yeah.
There's a lot wrong with having it. I don't know why they tinker with things. I know this makes me sound like a really old man, but there's lots of talk about the FA Cup losing its magic and what we can do to revitalise it. And there's a brilliant piece by Jonathan Liu in The Independent, if you've not read it, about the FA Cup. It's fantastic. Best bit of football writing you'll read this week. The FA Cup's not lost its magic at all. The matches, anyone who watched Rochdale Spurs, anyone who watched Saints West Brom, anyone who watched last night Wigan Man City, you tell me that's lost its magic. You are absolutely insane. What's lost its magic is the bit that the bureaucrats have control over, and it's things like that. That's what's lost its magic. And it's why? Anyway,
totally bizarre. To be honest, when Man City Wigan came out of the hat, so I mean, obviously we're recording this on a Tuesday night rather than a Monday night, so that we would know the outcome of the Wigan Man City draw. I mean, we could. What a relief, because basically we could have quite easily last night gone and thought, should we wait for this game to finish? Nah, I mean, obviously we know Man City are going to win it, so let's just talk as though we're going to get Man City in the quarter.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
we'd have been like overdubbing it.
Yeah.
Will agree.
We didn't do that because astonishingly Wigan have defeated Manchester City.
It's brilliant for football and it's brilliant for Saints.
I am absolutely delighted about this result. So I'm not approaching the quarterfinals in this kind of arrogant, Wigan are from League One, who are they? Of course we can steamroller them. But I look at Manchester City and I go, all of their players, position for position, perhaps maybe with the exception of left back, are better than the Southampton first team.
Completely agree.
I think their players want it more than the Southampton players.
I think they believe in their destiny probably more than our players do.
And I think their manager maybe has a little bit of a tactical advantage over Pellegrini.
Tiny one.
He seems to be fairly decent.
Fairly adept.
Yeah. Whereas with Wigan, okay, so I think Wigan will want it more.
Yep.
I think arguably their manager, who knows, I don't know enough about their manager. Is he ex-Pompey?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's clearly no
friend of the podcast.
Exactly. But we do have better quality players than them.
Yeah, and you think as well that
so we have a chance. We have a good chance of getting through to the semi-final
against. Like, let's face it, if we'd have gone to the Etihad, we'd have had zero chance. Like statistically, we might have had, I don't know, like an 11% chance of getting through. Like at Wigan, yes, they're going to be super pumped. Yes, they're going to be really up for it. I feel, and what's great about it is either we win, fantastic, or Wigan win, brilliant.
Yeah,
like fantastic. Like, and if Wigan win, and they can, and Leicester could beat Chelsea, then Wigan have got Leicester.
Yeah,
or if Wigan win and and Sheffield Wednesday, or Swansea beats
Rochdale beat Tottenham.
Like who knows? And it's great, and it's good for football.
And I think
and well done, Wigan as well.
At Saints Fans, we need to exercise some Wembley ghosts. So the last time we went to Wembley on Boxing Day was horrific.
Scored twice.
Those players, we scored twice in the last 2 visits to Wembley. It hasn't helped us.
Yeah, it's true, actually. We've got to stop conceding all the goals.
Well, actually, I'm going to retract that statement. In the game against Man United in the EFL Cup final, we scored 3 legitimate goals. Anyway, I am so excited about the FA Cup. I love the FA Cup. I know the season that we got relegated from the Premier League, we also got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. But you know what? Screw all of you. I'm excited about the FA Cup.
We're pumped.
I've not been excited about much this season. I've got to admit the football has been pretty turgid, fairly uninspiring. There's been a few kind of nice moments that we've really tried to pick out and highlight on this podcast. But the FA Cup is a genuine sense of excitement and relief and distraction from the terrible, terrible position that we're in the Premier League.
It's a distraction, but it's also really important. They need to get the confidence up. They need to feel they can win, and they need to feel they can
Isn't it
hold
the oldest
games.
footballing competition in the world?
Yes, and it's great. And everyone in the world, all of our players, no matter whether they're from Morocco or from Spain or wherever, they would have grown up knowing about the FA Cup. And we need to do what we did against West Brom, which is we need to be able to batten down the hatches, and when teams are battering us, not concede. And that's what we did. And we're going to Burnley on Saturday. They're going to try and batter us exactly like West Brom did physically. We've got Stoke coming up. They're going to do the same thing. And like the footballers, like everyone in life, I imagine, do not exist in isolation. They do not compartmentalize, I imagine, the FA Cup and the Premier League. They play, I imagine, as a unit. They win as a unit, and a win is a win. So good. Bring it, good. Bring on the confidence. Bring on Burnley on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for momentum, it's so important, and it's not like we're in deep in the Europa League or the Champions League. We got knocked out at the first opportunity in the EFL Cup. So why not? Give the FA Cup a good go. It has the pressure off because a loss doesn't leave you necessarily any worse off than you were before. And I think the players have enjoyed playing in the FA Cup this season. I think they've done pretty well. And
the great thing is this is a sad thing to say, but they're now not going to play any FA Cup games away at St Mary's, where I think it's not a particularly original thought, but maybe the pressure and the negativity and the atmosphere around St Mary's is getting to some of the players. Now they can be unencumbered by that, and they can go to Wigan. If they win, amazing. They're at Wembley, and anything can happen. So, well done.
So, I think a trip to Wigan is on the cards.
We're gonna do that.
I mean, where is Wigan, Tom?
It's north of Watford.
North of Watford. Okay.
It's that bit. When you're on the M1, it says the north.
Yeah,
it's somewhere there.
Okay,
just get your compass for that. And
how many hours north?
It's far.
Okay,
but let's go. Let's have a day out.
Let's have fun. Let's get behind the team.
And let's win. Let's try and win a
semi-final.
Yes. Oh, it'd be so exciting.
But let's not get arrogant, because Wigan have already knocked out Manchester City, West Ham United, and Bournemouth.
And but again, if we lose, yes, we'll be gutted. But a thoroughly likeable team, seemingly full of thoroughly likeable individuals, go through. Whereas if we lost against Man City, including Will Grigg, he's literally on fire. But isn't that much more nice than seeing Man City go through?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm delighted. I mean, the way we've talked about the FA Cup, I mean, maybe it's because the way Saints' season has gone, but it almost sounds like we're sponsored by the FA Cup. But we're not sponsored by the FA Cup. However,
if they'd like to,
we have found, well, yeah, I mean, yes, sponsor us to the FA Cup. Let's have a couple of final tickets to give away. That'd be great. But we have got a form of sponsorship with our friends at Beer 52.
This is happening. I'm checking out securely.
This is real life. So Tom, you've been chatting away about the Saints, but you've also been trying to order yourself a free box of beer. How are you getting on with that?
I'm good. I'm going for the light and hoppy selection. Yeah. So £24 off this order. I don't want to be like Garth Algar in Wayne's World, where he's sponsored head to toe by Reebok, but this is a great offer, guys.
So just to remind you, if you head to www.beer52.com/Saints, you can get a free case of beer, free. The beer is free. The delivery is not free, so you do have to pay £5.95 for the delivery.
That's nothing, is it?
That's reasonable, isn't it? It saves you a trip to the shops. And, it's a monthly craft beer discovery club, searching out incredible and exclusive small batch craft beers from the world's greatest brewers and bringing them back to their members. For light and hoppy IPAs to dark porters and stouts, you can tailor the box to your personal preferences. What's your personal preference? So, you've gone for light and hoppy. Does that mean that you're not a stout man? I
can't handle any sort of... this is a real brave adventure for me because I don't generally do interesting beers or do anything interesting, really. So this is a real adventure. But I'm looking forward to it. And I get a snack and I get a magazine.
Also, Tom, you'll be relieved to hear that there's no minimum commitment. If the club is not for you, you can pause or cancel at any time. And
it's the opposite to a football club.
Yeah, they pride themselves on their 5-star rated customer service, Trustpilot. So anyway, if you want to get a free box of beer like Tom is getting for himself right now, head to www.beer52.com/Saints. Saints FC podcast listeners, don't say we don't look after you. We're getting every single one of you a free box of beer.
And this is your food group, this is your snack group, and your magazine group. It's all your basic food groups covered. I'm in, I've got my beer. Thank you.
Yeah. So beer52.com/Saints. You should know how to spell Saints. I'm not going to spell that out for you. But it's, beer, spelled like how you'd expect beer. The number 52.com/Saints. Free beer. Tom takes a sip of his last glass of red wine on the Saints FC podcast.
I can't wait for my snacks.
So let's move on from beer to Burnley.
Oh, alliteration.
Yeah. So this is our next Premier League game. It is at the weekend. What do we think is going to happen, Tom?
I was at the game at St Mary's earlier this season where Burnley, we were all over them. And it was kind of the early days before we kind of realised what was maybe going to happen under our current regime, where I think it was kind of one of the most telling signs where it was like, oh Christ, we're gonna really struggle to score, and then teams are just going to learn, and then they're going to batter us, and they Burnleyed us. They brought Sam Vokes on, he caused chaos, and that was that. What's going to happen? They've got a lot of players injured. I'm trying to find the optimism, as I always do. They've got a lot of players injured, which is something to be positive about. We've got a few.
Their form is appalling as well at the moment.
Their form is Saints-esque, isn't it? They haven't won in 7, I think. They're still 7th in the league. So, chapeau for that. But
don't you think Burnley are kind of in the form that Saints were last season, where we finished the season in 8th, despite probably not really deserving 8th. Like, we kept on losing games, drawing games that we should have won, yet we somehow ended up in 8th. And Burnley basically had such a brilliant start to the season that they're falling away quite badly.
Yeah.
Yet, they had enough of a buffer that they're still up there.
Yeah, if you look, the games, they've lost points against Swansea, which actually turns out to be no great disappointment. They held Man City, they're on a kind of long-term negativity. They don't score any goals, which is something I'm going to regret saying now. But they don't. Generally they score 1 goal. I don't think they've scored more than 1 goal in the league this year. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? We owe them one.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. We genuinely do. Let's take the positivity from West Brom. Let's keep a settled team. Lamina, Romeu, Hoyt.
Wasn't Romeu dropped for West Brom?
But I think we've got to take it to an away game, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got to try and, because we know they're going to try and outmuscle us in the middle of the park. Who knows?
The key is going to be defending from the big man, the crosses, isn't it?
And Stevens, as we know, is not the best. I think they're going to have Chris Woods back, which always scares me a little bit.
I do think we can take some heart in the fact that Burnley have not won a fixture this calendar year.
Yes.
So in the whole of 2018.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Why did I just say that? Anyway, so Burnley, very, very tough place to go. I know you love my XG stats, Tom. So
tell me about your XG stats, please. Get me hot.
I'll bring this one out for you. So, Burnley this season have scored 21 goals. I think this is in real life.
How many goals have we scored?
Southampton have scored 28.
Massively inflated by...
Yeah. Burnley have scored 21, which is the second fewest in the whole league. So they're joint with West Bromwich Albion in terms of goals scored, and Swansea the only team that has scored less than them. So the whole reason I'm going to bring out the XG is because if Burnley, took the chances that they're expected to, then where would they be in the league table? Have a guess.
Well, they're 7th now.
Yeah.
So if they took the chance to expect to, I would say they've scored fewer goals. They've scored barely any goals, so they can't surely. I've no idea. 7th.
They would be bottom of the table.
So again, I never understand this. So does that mean they're scoring chances that they shouldn't score?
Shouldn't be scoring, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So basically, Burnley have scored a lot more goals than you would expect. But interestingly, the XG against, and this probably tells you about the quality of the goalkeeper that they have. If the teams playing against them had taken the chances that they should have done, Burnley would have conceded another 14 goals this season,
which is them down in the crappy crap.
Yeah, well, that's them bottom of the table.
But we kind of battered them at St Mary's, and Pope was just very good. We didn't really.
I mean, that is the case that proves the point, really.
Yeah. And also, Heaton is now back. So obviously, Heaton was the goalkeeper before Pope. Pope now will be looking over his shoulder, going, "Crumbs, that's the the guy, that's the team captain. I need to really raise my game." So I don't know. I guess that's a good thing for Burnley. Competition is good.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what I'm trying to say is that Burnley, in terms of the footballing prowess, in terms of the chances created, in terms of the fact that we should get enough chances against them to win the game, they probably won't get that many chances against us. So far this season, they've been good at taking their chances and good at defending the chances they're conceding. We just need the game to go kind of as it should in the XG world, and then we should win.
As long as everything goes XG. So where are we, by the way, in your fancy XG land? We're 7th, aren't we?
Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. No, we're down to 10th now.
Down to 10th now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Burnley have a lot of injuries.
I would take 10th at this point. I was just going to put that out there.
It's a dream. Burnley have a lot of injuries, as I understand it. So they're talking about Tarkowski maybe being out. They're talking about Woods being out.
We've talked very, very positively about Saints versus Burnley. What's the score going to be, Tom?
1-1.
1-1.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 1-0 Burnley. I'm desperately trying to clutch at the straws, and I think we should be able to win, but I just don't expect we will.
Yeah, I mean, they've not a few of the really good players, like the quality, like Defoe and people like that, are out, but they seem to just have these players that just pop out of nowhere and damage teams, like Barnes and people like that. So, yeah, who knows? I mean, I hope that Caricio gets another start. I think we need to have a settled first 11. And he just needs a goal, doesn't he? I don't feel as bad about him as maybe I feel when I watch him. Because when I watch him, I feel very worried.
See, the thing is with him, I think when you make a big money, big name signing, you expect the person to come in and start banging the goals in immediately. I don't think that's what he's been brought in to do.
Did Pella score goals immediately? Did he?
I think I was there when he scored his first goal for Saints, which was against West Ham United at Upton
Yes,
Park.
it was. Yeah, but he
Right
took
in
a
front of the
few
goal.
He took a few chances, didn't he?
Yeah, it did take him a little while to get going, but I don't know. I think with Carichet, he's there to do a job. He's there to be the big man. He's there to hold up the play and draw the rest of the Saints team towards him. So Saints are not quick enough when they're breaking on the counter-attack. So having a big man up there who can take the ball, take it down, hold it up, and give our lumbering midfield a chance to catch up.
And I guess it's this bringing the fullbacks more into the play, isn't it? Because the challenge we've had is we've punted the ball up, and until we had Charlie Austin, we just it just came straight back to us. Whereas with this way, maybe we can hold the ball up, get runners in, and then he can turn and be that fox in the 6-yard box.
Oh, so there we go. So Burnley away. Then we have Stoke City at home.
Doesn't get any bigger than that.
That is massive, isn't it?
It's huge.
From these two games, Tom, in terms of Southampton surviving relegation, what do we need?
I think...
Is this another 4 points from the two games?
We cannot take anything less from our next 5 league games, which is what? Burnley, Stoke, Newcastle, Swansea and West Ham.
Although the Swansea one may fall out of that because of the
because the FA Cup. But say of those 4 games, we need to take 3 points. I mean, this is melodramatic, but you need to take 3 points from every single one. We can't drop any points.
So you genuinely think to survive, we need to take 12 from the next 12?
Yeah. Because if we don't, because if you think about it, because this isn't like playing Man United or playing Arsenal or Spurs. If we don't take points, either they've taken them off us, or we both get 1 point, which doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
So, these are games where we can put other teams down, or not. If not down, we can severely.
Basically, we're in a big
morale.
pile of bodies, kind of scrabbling to get out of something, and this is a chance to step on someone's face and escape to safety.
We're in control. We're in a horrible. One positive way to spin on it is we are in control of our destiny.
Yeah.
We just need to win these games.
Yeah.
Praise we do.
Yeah, you think we're going to draw against Burnley. I think we're going to lose. And then we've got Stoke at home, and you think we're going to...
I think we're going to win Stoke.
Beat Stoke.
Yeah.
And we need to win at St Mary's.
I think it could go feral.
Yeah.
But I think we should all... I think the Saints fans, the FA Cup, I hope, has galvanised us. And I think we do need to be positive. Liverpool aside, we're on a pretty decent run of form. And everything that the people hated about the manager, where we didn't have a settled 11, where substitutions seemed to make no sense, he's turning that around. So we need to,
little by little, it's not as quickly as we would hope.
But this is the manager we've got, and this is the team we have, and we can never change the team we have. So we need to get behind them. That's the end of it.
And, whether you're travelling to Burnley or heading down to St Mary's for the game against Stoke, all of it's going to taste better with your free box of beer from beer52.com.
Indeed. It's going to be some lovely craft out, some hoppy ones for me, and my snacks and my magazine.
God, I really hope we don't see Peter Crouch scoring again. I mean, as much as I love the guy,
I'm also scared about the guy they had that used to play for West Brom. Because his name escapes me, but he is on a comically bad run of form. The guy that was a little...
Saido Berahino,
who's clearly a bit of a dick. But he's on a comically bad run of form, that one of those runs of form that always ends with that player scoring against Southampton. So, fingers crossed it doesn't happen.
Right, anyway, we've reached the end of our recording, Tom. We had a poll out on Twitter earlier before when we were recording, which was the hypothetical question of, if you could make a deal with the devil and you could have Saints finish within the relegation zone but win the FA Cup, or finish 17th and not win the FA Cup, so basically survive relegation, or I even put in the option there, relegated and lose to Wigan.
For the real masochists out there.
I mean, I think that one was really just to kind of give the Pompey fans something to click on. So
that's also
to
like a
weed them
test.
out.
That's like a test one to see if anyone's actually looking at the options.
Yeah. So I mean, 17% chose that they would like to see us get relegated and lose to Wigan.
Interesting. I'd love to meet you guys in a pub.
I'm astonished that we have that many people that support Portsmouth on our podcast.
We had 109 votes, so that means 17.03% of people voted. 17.3 people.
I think that means there's
voted
18
for that.
people.
Yeah, it's weird.
So 18 people, I think, that perhaps are listening to this support Portsmouth.
Can you get in touch and tell us why you think that's a good option?
I thought you were going to say, oh, if you're listening and you support Portsmouth Football Club, then fuck you.
No, don't get no. We don't want any violence here.
But so I mean, from the remaining there, I mean it's 52% 17th surviving relegation, and only 31% want us to win the FA Cup.
I don't get it, John.
Well, I mean, we've had the two Jasons explain their reasons. I understand that. Perhaps that's the point: is that Saints is no longer a club that is just for people who've grown up, you know, in and around Hampshire, Southampton. I mean, I grew up in Bath. You grew up in...
I grew up in Surrey.
In Surrey.
Maybe a lot of people don't remember us being crap, so they can't really process this period that they're watching.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps it's representative of the people that are on Twitter.
Yeah, younger people who are more who believe kind of instant success. I think that I said this to you before we started recording, that maybe it's a younger demographic who believe that there is no life outside the Premier League, and that because of the ubiquity and because of the mass effect of the Premier League, they can't it's almost like once you're out of the Premier League, football doesn't exist, and we know it does. We know it's actually pretty good fun. Yeah, maybe there's an element of that. Yeah,
I cycled past Colchester's Community Stadium the other day when I was going out on a bike ride up in kind of Essex, Suffolk borders, I suppose that is. Yeah, that's a place that I travelled to with Saints in League One. We won, I think, 2-0 perhaps. But they were good times, you know. There were lots of places that I went to and I've never been to since.
You can
always get a ticket.
You can always go to a pub. It's always good laugh.
But I tell you what, the one option I didn't have in that poll there is Saints survive relegation and win the FA Cup, and I think that will satisfy everyone.
If there's anyone who's not satisfied by that, again, please get in touch.
Well, probably the 17%
who want
to see us relegated and lose to Wigan.
Very unusual.
Anyway, I think that's enough for us from the Saints FC podcast. Thank you once again for downloading, listening, subscribing. Do please share this with as many of your Saints FC supporting friends and family. Obviously, show them how to download a podcasting app or get them to use the podcasting app on their iPhone. Obviously, if they don't have a smartphone, you can get them onto our web site, or you can get them onto YouTube, I suppose, if you're gonna watch us, you know, drinking our last bottle of wine before our sponsorship from beer52.com and kicks in.
Do visit the nice people from Beer52, because this is a really good offer. And
well, basically,
let's show them Saints fans love booze.
It's kind of like a celebration. So we celebrated our first birthday last time you and I got together, and now to celebrate the first birthday with all of you listeners, get your free box of beer, beer52.com/Saints. All the information's there. There's no obligation, but you might as well get the box, try it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, cancel the subscription, and you've had 8 free beers and jobs are good. And
why not?
Yeah.
Nice for living.
Anyway, do get in contact. saintsfcpodcast@gmail.com, @saintsfcpodcast on Twitter. Thank you very much for listening. I've been John Bailey. Cheerio.
Tom Parker. Good night.
Bye.